Look at the growth rate of the GDP on the watch of Manmohan Singh. Compare that with the current government. Data says India grew faster under the UPA. Point number two, it's not just about how fast the GDP is growing. There's also on your watch increasing income inequality. India's per capita GDP is at 128 in an international ranking, and therefore there is higher concentration of wealth amongst the rich. The poor are getting poorer, and that's happened on your watch. Slower growth, greater income inequality. Jayant Sinha.
Rahul, with all due respect to two very eminent and senior parliamentarians, Shri Chidambaram ji and Abhishek Manu Singhvi ji, I have to reject what they're saying. Now, let me first come to the issue of growth, GDP per capita growth. Then I'll come to the issue of inequality. First, when we talk about GDP growth rate, there are two reasons why just a simple recitation of the GDP growth rate over 9.5 years is utterly wrong. First, when we handed over the economy to the UPA in 2004, the economy was growing at about 7 or 8%. They inherited an economy that had tremendous momentum. And they sustained the momentum for a period of time till their bad economic policies, I will say, caught up with them. They tanked the economy, led it to 4% growth for 2 years, the high inflation and all the other factors that I mentioned earlier. So factor number one, they got a very good economy, they tanked it, they drove it into the ditch. Number two, we had a once in 100-year crisis that we had to deal with. It's called COVID. Around the world, GDP growth rates dropped dramatically for every country, including in India. We had the lowest, we had negative GDP growth rate of -7% or so in the COVID year of 2021-2022. And this was the worst economic performance of India's economy post-independence. Never happened before. So if our growth rate has come down, it's come down because of the COVID pandemic. And of course, as I said, they inherited an economy in great shape. We inherited an economy that was in the ditch, growing at 4%, and we had to put it back on the rails. So we turned that economy around. We dealt with the COVID pandemic. And now you have an economy that is called the shining star of the global economy. So, as I said, with all due respect to my senior colleagues, I reject the arguments. That is utterly incorrect. Now, let's come to your second question of inequality. As far as inequality is concerned, the human development indicators that Abhishek ji mentioned have indicated that we have taken a massive number of people out of extreme poverty, about 150 million people, 15 crores. That extreme poverty in India is coming down very, very sharply, very, very quickly because of the very inclusive policies that we followed. The whole world, in the B20, the G20, in every global conference, is praising India's social safety net that we've created. The 80 crore people that are getting free food through the Garib Kalyan Yojana, the Ayushman Bharat that we've created, which is providing people free health care, the DBT that we have created so that Kisan Samman Nidhi and other such social safety net programs are directly coming into people's bank accounts. So we are massively making our growth inclusive. We are reducing and in fact have almost eliminated extreme poverty. And that is why we are so well positioned for the future. Now, coming finally to the point that Abhishek ji said about being a developed country, he's absolutely right. It's not my definition or his definition. It's the World Bank's definition. And as he correctly pointed out, the World Bank's definition of an upper income country is over $14,000. I quoted that if we sustain growth rates of 8%, which is what we are aiming to do, by 2047, we will be a $25 trillion economy with $15,000 GDP per capita, defined as an upper income country, defined as a developed country.